Welcome back to the Bad Influence podcast, where we talk about real life issues everyone deals with at one point in our lives. I'm the bad influence that you need in your life, Bjordan Banderas. Here's a question that might hit close to home. How many of you feel like you're taken for granted? Like you give and people just keep taking without a second thought. Maybe you feel like the more you do, the less it's appreciated. Sound familiar? Well, if you're nodding along, trust me, you're not alone on this. Today's episode is for all the good people out there, the ones who give selflessly, the ones who help whenever they can, and the ones who genuinely care. The ones who seem to get used or forgotten the moment things are going well for everyone else. Because here's the hard truth. We live in a world where people are more often likely to use good people than to cherish them. And that has got to stop. It doesn't benefit our society at all. It doesn't benefit anyone. So if you're feeling underappreciated, if you're tired of being seen as nothing more than a convenience, then this episode is for you. We're going to break down why people take advantage of good people, how to set boundaries without losing who you are, and how to reclaim the respect you deserve. Because here's the deal. Being kind, being giving, doesn't mean you should be a fucking doormat. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean people can just use you when it's convenient. So, if you're ready to stop this cycle and make some changes, let's dive in. Let's start by breaking down why this happens. So, I have a question for you, and I want to hear or read your answer in the comments. Why do good people get used so often? Well, here's my answer. Here's the thing. When you're kind, compassionate, and dependable, people start to expect it. They get comfortable knowing you'll always be there, always ready to help. They start taking you for granted because they assume you're never going to say no. And it's easy for people to start seeing good people as a resource, something they can tap into whenever they need. They forget that you're a person with limits, needs, and feelings. They just see the benefit of having you around and assume you'll always be willing to give more. It's like if you have unlimited energy, unlimited time, unlimited resources, and they can tap into it or into them whenever they need to, and you're always going to say, yes, here's more. But here's where it gets messy. When you give without limits, without boundaries, people will push those limits. They'll take as much as you're willing to give. And if you don't push back, they'll never stop taking. It's like handing someone your car keys and then wondering why they never fill up the tank or say thank you, which it happens a lot too. So let's be clear. This isn't about blaming anyone for being kind or caring. No. This is about recognizing the pattern and breaking it before you burn out. Because if you don't, it's only going to get worse. Let me give you an example that might sound familiar. I had a friend who would always call me when they needed something. Advice, help with a project, a listening ear. It didn't matter. I was their go-to. And at first, it felt good to be that person, to be the friend they trusted. But after a while, after years, I started to notice a pattern. They only called when they needed something. If I reached out to them, crickets, nothing, silence, and not answering their texts for days. When I needed help or support, nowhere to be found. I was there when they needed me, but it was always a one-way street. They take what they needed and disappear until the next crisis that they created. It got to the point where I had to ask myself, is this a friendship or am I just a convenience? And that was a tough question to face. And like I mentioned, this happened after years of going through this over and over and over again, time and time again. But I knew I couldn't keep giving and giving without anything in return. That's when I realized that sometimes good people have to step back or they'll keep getting used. If this story sounds like something you've been through, it's time to make some fucking changes. Because being a good person doesn't mean letting yourself be drained. It means knowing your worth and respecting it. So, why do people do this? Why do they take advantage of the good ones, the people who care the most? It's simple. Because they can. People gravitate towards kindness and empathy when they see those traits. Some people just take and take, thinking there will be no consequences. They have enough to give. It's human nature to seek comfort and support, but for some, it's easier to rely on others than to take responsibility for themselves. They look at good people as a source of comfort and convenience, not realizing or not caring about the toll it takes on the person giving. And then there's the assumption factor. People assume that because you're kind, you're okay with giving more. They assume that you don't mind putting others first. But kindness isn't the same as weakness. And good people have limits too. That's why it's crucial to understand this dynamic and start setting boundaries. Because if you don't, the world will keep taking until there's nothing left. Now, here's where it gets tricky. As a good person, you might worry that setting boundaries makes you seem selfish or unkind. But let me tell you something. Boundaries are not selfish. They're necessary. Boundaries protect your energy, your time, and your mental health. Think about it like this. If you have a cup and you keep pouring it out without refilling it, eventually it's empty. You're not good to anyone, including yourself, when you're drained. Boundaries are the way you keep that cup full. So start by identifying where you feel used or drained. Is it a friend who only calls when they need something? A family member who expects you to drop everything for them? Once you know where the drain is, or where the drain is coming from, you can set clear boundaries. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but trust me, people who truly respect you will understand. And for those who don't, well, maybe they're not worth keeping around, and that includes family. And I want you to understand that that includes family, because it included in my family was included in this situation, and believe me, they can be included too. It doesn't matter if they're family, if they're your brother, your sister, your mom, your uncle, whoever. If they're just taking, they need to be part of the boundaries as well. You need to have boundaries with them. Okay, and I want you to understand that because it's hard. So let's talk about one of the hardest words for people to say. You know what it is? You have an idea? It's no. N-O. You want help. You want to be there for everyone, but at what cost? If you're constantly saying yes, you're saying no to your own needs, your own time, your own peace. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it makes you a stronger person. It's about recognizing your limits and protecting them. Saying no means valuing your time and energy as much as you value others. If you're struggling with guilt, remind yourself that saying no isn't a rejection, it's a way of keeping balance. It's about being able to say yes to the things that matter most without feeling depleted. Because at one point, those people that need you all the fucking time, they're going to need you for something that it's of importance. They might be having a real issue that needs your help, but you're going to be so fucking tired. And then you're going to say, no, I'm tired, or I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. And then they're going to be all like, oh my gosh, you're a bad friend. No, you don't want that. Especially for you, because you're going to feel bad about that, about saying no. So remember, your kindness should be a choice, not an obligation. You can't pour from an empty cup, so start by filling your own. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to surround yourself with people who value you. Find people who appreciate your kindness, who see you as more than a resource. These are the people who will fill your cup, not drain it. Good people need other good people. When you're around those who genuinely care, you don't feel used. You feel valued. You feel like your kindness is a gift, not an expectation. If you're constantly giving to people who don't give back, it's time to reevaluate those relationships. And again, this includes family, okay? So find people who understand the value of reciprocity, who are there for you as much as you are for them. This is about creating a support system where you can thrive, where your kindness is respected and returned. And trust me, once you find those people, you'll wonder why you ever settled for less. Here's a fact. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. I know. It was hard for me to understand this particular phrase. Even in Spanish, I couldn't really understand it. I didn't have the mental or emotional capacity to understand it, but now I got it. I get it now. If you don't respect your own limits, no one else will. Self-respect is the foundation of every boundary. Every no, every time you decide to put yourself first, it's good for you. When you start respecting yourself, you stop tolerating things that drain you. You stop giving to those who don't appreciate it. And that's a fact. And guess what? That's when people start respecting you too. Because they're going to see that you're not taking their shit. They're going to see that now you say no, that you're putting yourself first. And the people that just want to take from you, they're not going to like that. Yeah, sure, they're going to push back. But if you set those boundaries and don't let the other person push you back, eventually they're going to get tired. They're going to look for someone else. Because here's the thing. Self-respect isn't about being selfish. It's about knowing your worth. When you have self-respect, you're not afraid to demand the same respect from others. And that is so true. And if they can't give it, well, that's a sign they're not worth your time. Respect yourself enough to stop letting people use you. That's so important. Because the right people won't take, they'll cherish. So here's the bottom line. Being a good person doesn't mean you have to be everyone's doormat. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean you let people drain you dry because you're kind. No, it doesn't. Being good should be a strength, not a weakness. And it's up to you to protect that strength. My challenge to you today is to start setting those boundaries. Say no when you need to. Surround yourself with people who value you, not just what you can do for them. Respect yourself enough to know that your kindness deserves to be cherished, not used. Because when you realize this, you're going to see how powerful you are, how your kindness can help others, how your giving nature can actually help those who cherish it, who value it, not the ones who just take for the sake of taking. And when you do that, you're going to know your true nature. You're going to figure out what you want in life. And you're going to figure out who needs to be in your life next to you, especially when you're working on something that is going to change your life. Right? Because if you decide to change your life and you start making more money, you start having more time, you start having better things, guess who's going to try to take that for themselves? The people who just take everything from you. So it won't be just energy, it won't be just time, it's also going to be your money and a lot of things that you have worked so hard to have. This is the thing, this is the reason why I stopped talking to my family, because that's how they are. They take, but they don't give back. All they did was take. They took my money, they took my time, they took my energy. Now that they're gone, now that I don't talk to them, I have a better life. I have been able to change my life. I'm literally leveling up in my life. And I don't have to worry about my mom asking me for money, about my uncle asking me for money, because I do have it now. But even if I give them money, I will never see it again. Same thing with my time. Same thing with some of the things that I have been able to buy. So, start doing this. Don't be scared to say no. This isn't for them. This is for you. And when you do things for you, things are going to start to change. And that's it for today. If this message hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's spread the word. Good people deserve respect, not exploitation. Let's make sure that kindness is something we cherish, not something we take advantage of. So thank you for tuning in to the Bad Influence podcast. Remember, your kindness is a gift. Treat it like one. It's a very expensive gift that you can give to the right people, not to the ones who just see it as a resource. Until next time, stay strong, set those boundaries, and keep being the amazing person you are. Don't let anyone, absolutely anyone, take that away from you. Because you deserve better. You can do better. And you can become the best version of yourself by doing this. And have a great day.